Well, Gus, thank you very much for coming by and being part of the podcast today.
It's such a pleasure to see you again.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. We have with us Gus Noble, the president of the Chicago Scots. We're at the, what is this now, the 42nd, 43rd?
38th.
38th, okay, I'm
Same
jumping
age
ahead
as
a little bit. We're at the 38th Chicago Scots Highland Games. We're in DuPage County Fairgrounds in the Chicago suburbs. And Gus, tell us a little bit about the Chicago Scots and the Highland Games.
Well, it's a great family event that we host every year, and it's made more special by having you guys here. We just love the coups and the families who come to visit. Every year, the number one thing they talk about is how much they enjoyed spending time with the Highland cows. So I want to thank you very much for coming. But this event is really for all the family, and it's an event that whatever kind of involvement and engagement you've had with Scotland doesn't matter. As soon as you walk through the gate, it's like walking through a portal that takes you across time and space and delivers you to Scotland. Mm-hmm. We've got every aspect of Scottish culture here, from bagpiping, biggest bagpiping championship in North America, 41 pipe bands who'll all play in unison at the end of the day this evening. We've got Highland dancing, we've got fiddle competition, we've got the clans and families of Scotland, so you can do some genealogical research about your family's journey from Scotland to America. We've got some great food. We've got the National Chef of Scotland cooking. We've got some whiskey seminars thanks to Hoteling and their brands. We've got heavy athletics, of course. You know, these incredible athletes who are known for their strength, but the feats they perform are also, you need balance, you need timing, you need agility. And anything heavy, these guys will pick it. If it's not nailed down, they'll pick it up and throw it as far as they can. They're great people. We've got a wonderful day planned, and my favourite part of any day of any Highland Games is the mass bands, where all of those 41 bands come together, and some of the soloists, and perform in unison. And it's likely we'll have over 1,000 bagpipers there. And at the point where they play Amazing Grace, I have looked out at the crowds, and we all remember those who can no longer be with us.
Yes.
And my father passed away just 3 days before the Highland Games last year.
Oh,
and my
so
job
sorry.
is, thank you, I appreciate it. He was a great guy. He loved Highland Games himself. So the point at which I usually stand in front of the gathered crowds and the bands just before Amazing Grace is where I ask people to remember those who can no longer be with us. And I thought, I'm not going to get through this. So this lump rose in my throat as I held the microphone up. And I felt at this moment a bump on the back of one leg and a bump on the back of the other. And it was my 9-year-old and my 5-year-old sons ran out onto the field and held my legs. As I said to the gathered crowd, we are the oldest charity in Illinois, and this community, through adversity, through times of vulnerability and loss and hurt, have helped one another. We exist to be kind. That is made manifest at our nursing home, Caledonia Senior Living and Memory Care. But we've taken care of people when they've been vulnerable in whatever way was needed. And I just thank the crowd for taking care of me in a moment of vulnerability, as I've seen the Chicago Scots do for countless families over the years. And then 1,000 bagpipers played Amazing Grace. And it was just the most emotional thing I've ever experienced. But at that point, every year, for all the years I've been involved, I've looked out at the crowd and I've seen generations of families silently, wordlessly look into one another's eyes. And it's as if time and oceans just disappear and we're connected to our ancestors and to those who will come after us. It's the most wonderful feeling, and it's unique to the Highland Games. So I bleated on for a long time there about the Highland Games, but I just love the fact that the coups are the first thing you see after the cars. So you see the cars, the coups, and then the Chicago Scots in the next tent. We make for a good trifecta of a welcome.
Well, we're honored to be part of that. Kay and I enjoy so much this, the interaction from the little kids to one of my funnest. I think it was like maybe the second or third year. One of the guys from the Tabor Toss, who I'm a pretty good sized guy.
Yeah.
This guy made me look little. However, he couldn't feed the cow.
Yeah.
Every time the cow's mouth came, he pulled the range cube back.
That's scary.
And then this little kid comes up that's like 3, who had been hanging around all day and has probably fed him 50, and just is up there and his hand's half in the cow's mouth, and the big guy standing there like. And it's those interactions.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing tears of joy from people who have only read about them, to get to see them and pet them and feed them, and it's just so much fun for us.
It is.
To see that interaction with sometimes people that have never had the opportunity.
Right. And they're such iconic creatures, you know, and for people to see and experience and engage with them as soon as they come through the gate, or as soon as they're leaving, to say, thank you, cheerio, see you next year. Right? Such a lovely thing.
We get people that come through all day long, because they'll see, we always typically bring a cow-calf pair of some type.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bring a bull too, but the cow-calf pair, and once the calf starts nursing, there's always a crowd. Just people have been here 3 or 4 times. They come back, and the photos, you know.
And it was so thoughtful of you to name your calf Margaret, for dear Margaret, who we miss so much.
She is wonderful. It's our privilege to have got to know Margaret and Sally over the years, and I've heard some wonderful stories about Roger. I would have loved to have met him. I understand Roger was a character and a half.
He was a character and a half. You know, I was walking down on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, and they have these Millennium Fountains. I don't know whether you've seen them, but they're of Chicagoan faces. They wrote to every kind of cultural and ethnic group in Chicago and said, we'd like to have one face from your community to represent, you know, the Chinese, the Germans, the Kenyans, or the Scots. And Roger was asked, and he could have been representing Germany actually, but I know he was really representing the Scots. So, and in this fountain, the faces are, there's a little video, and they twitch, you know, they'll wink their eye, and then 15 minutes they pucker their lips and the fountain comes out of their mouth like that. So I was walking down Michigan Avenue and I looked up, and it was about a year after he passed away, but there was Roger. Like this. It was a lovely feeling. It was lovely to see him.
Neat.
Well, it would have been really nice to meet him, but meeting Sally and meeting Margaret over the years, it was just so much fun, and they were such dedicated members, and just a classic example of all the dedicated people that bring this together.
Yeah, the volunteers, the people who come back year after year after year, and just make sure that everybody feels welcome, and you know, let's put smiles on faces and warmth in hearts, because it's good fun, but it's all for a great cause. It supports Caledonia Senior Living and Memory Care, the oldest charity in Illinois. You know, we do things right, and I'm ever so proud of my team, our culture, our organization, and all the people who come every year are good friends, and I count you as our good friends.
Thank you. We do too. And thank you so much for coming by.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gus.
All right. Welcome, listeners. We're excited to be here today. We are in the Chicago suburbs with Kay and Terry. You guys' last name's Clemens. Clemens, right?
Yes.
Sometimes people put different last names on Facebook, which I do that because I don't want to be found. But anyways.
Witness protection.
Yeah, exactly. They are HideAway Farms, and we're super excited to be here with them today. Terry, what is this place called that we're at?
We're at the DuPage County Fairgrounds in Wheaton, Illinois.
Okay, and it's the Chicago Scots?
Yes, the Chicago Scots, the state of Illinois' oldest charity, originally set up to fund the Scottish home, a nursing home for people of Scottish heritage. Now it is Caledonia House. It's open to all, and it's a multifaceted assisted living, full service nursing, all the way through memory care.
Wow, that's so cool. I'm sure it's a huge need anywhere, but so we're just excited to be sitting down with you guys. You guys have Highland cattle. You've had Highland cattle for 14 years.
Yep.
You have registered Highland cattle through the association.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
Yep, all ACA registered.
And we got a few back here.
We do. We got a couple of cow-calf pairs.
Kind of just get us started. Why are we here? Why are you guys here? Why are your cows back there? And kind of go from there if you don't mind.
Okay. You want to start?
You kick us off.
Okay.
I'll chime in.
Well, we love the breed. We love our coos, and the Scots love their coos. You know, the unofficial animal of Scotland, and we love the interaction with the folks. Seeing the joy that they bring to people of all ages is so much fun, and we had the opportunity to come to the games first about 12 years ago.
I think so,
We had the cattle for a couple years, and once we brought them, we were just hooked on coming and just seeing the interaction between people, most of them from the city of Chicago and the Chicago suburbs, that rarely have interaction with farm animals, let alone something so iconic to their heritage as the Highland.
So Terry and I both have, in our real jobs, have a background in sales and marketing. And so we kind of looked at this opportunity as a sales marketing opportunity, a way to reach out to the public, and we wanted to do something that was interactive. So we looked at it almost like a trade show booth, and we had seen people just kind of put their animals in a pen, and that was it. So what we decided was, let's interact with the public, let's educate the public. So we tried to create some of our own educational materials that we put out. We made hand stamps. I think we've got, I don't know if there's one up there, but we made hand stamps with cows on them, and then we do that with the kids. The kids get a cow hand stamp. We've done stickers sometimes for them. We bring a bucket of treats. We teach the kids how to feed the cattle. We teach adults how to feed the cattle. And I think it just kind of, we all get more out of it that way when it's interactive. And then people start asking really good questions. Some people have seen the cattle in Scotland. They've been there. Some people have never seen a cow in real life at all, especially in the Chicagoland area. So it's just really been fun for us. I think it's, hopefully we represented the breed well. Hopefully we've given some folks some education, but I know Terry and I have just gotten so much out of it. It means a ton to us.
What kind of questions do you guys get from people that wander through the booth?
All kinds of things. We have a variety of private jokes about different things that have happened over the years, where you get really good questions from folks that want to know more about the breed, especially those with Scottish heritage, to weird comments like a guy about 5 years ago on his phone. Yeah, I'm over here by the yaks.
Yeah, no, we've heard that too.
Yeah, it runs the full spectrum, and that's also part of it. You know, it's not all just being promoting the breed. We're also promoting our particular farm as well as the breed.
Sure.
This is how we have built our business of selling our meat. We do a complete farm to table, where when I say complete farm to table, not just take the animal to be harvested, but pick it up, processed in their name to their specs, and then I bring it to the Chicago suburbs or to the city. I've even packed people's freezer. You know, older people who need the lean, clean protein of the Highland cow, which there is no better lean, clean protein than Highland beef, and I'll take it down into their basement or to wherever and pack their freezer for them. So when I say full service, farm to table, we mean it.
Other than cooking it for them, you're doing...
Absolutely.
You'll do anything to get it to them.
I would do that too if they did.
I was going to say, what are you looking for a fee?
As long as I get one of the steaks.
Why aren't we should have a grill right now.
Yeah, we should.
Oh,
that's a good idea.
Next
Cool.
episode.
What about, Kay, you mentioned that you guys have made some of your own educational material, brochures.
Mm-hmm.
Like what type of stuff do you guys have that you're passing it out, or just something for them to look at? I know you have some displays over there.
Yeah, we so what we did is we kind of created a one-pager that has some pictures of the farm. It talks a little bit about our farm and how we kind of got started with the cattle, and then it'll feature some things about the cattle and then about just the cattle in general. And we set it up. Terry actually built tent signs, I call them, that are made out of barn boards, so it looks kind of rustic, and we put some of the information in there, and then we hand it out to people too as we're talking with them.
Yeah.
Some of it is what you would typically see on a website,
Yes.
about us
Yes.
and about our farm. And then, of course, Aka's got some great materials that we use as well to put on there. So we're educating them about the breed if they want education.
Okay.
And a lot of the people do embrace learning more about the breed.
There's probably a lot of people out there doing what you guys are doing that
Yes.
we don't know about. At least, maybe not a lot, but there's probably other people out there that want to do something like this, get more information out there. Is Aka, I'll just be straightforward, is Aka just giving you that stuff for free? Is that something you can just go to the association and they have that material ready for breeders to hand out, or how's that work?
They do. They have some for free, and then if you need quantities of it, I believe there is a fee for some of it. But they have some really nice trifolds. We're part of the Quality Beef Assurance Program, and they have a variety of things through the Quality Beef Assurance Program that you can use.
Okay.
And you'll see on our, you see in the corner of our sign, the Quality Beef logo.
Okay.
Yeah, we
So
put
just-
that on everything.
To some extent, then, the association is a resource for some of that educational material.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That was,
Okay.
we didn't know anything about it.
Right.
Highlands were our plan B, and it's been the best plan B ever.
Yeah.
I
What was
have,
plan A?
I have some Indian blood, and plan A was going to be, I wanted to have bison, because
Oh.
I was looking for the clean protein,
I wanted to do that too.
and I wanted to have bison.
Did
And
you?
doing our research,
Yeah.
the fourth generation farmer to the west of us, so upwind, is a sheep farmer that has over 100 head of sheep that they also show. And there's a respiratory illness that bison have that are
That sheep have.
deadly and that sheep carry. So we couldn't have bison. So
Interesting.
looking for an alternative, because
No
we really wanted to
vaccine.
have some kind of animal and grow our own beef. We found out about the Highlands. We remembered seeing them in Scotland, and it's been the best plan B ever. I'm so glad the sheep farmer was next door,
Yeah.
and we had to go this route.
Things
Yeah.
work out the way they should
Yes.
sometimes. Yeah.
You know, being from the Midwest here, most people, when they think of a Highland or see the Highland picture hanging in Target,
Yes.
they don't think beef, you know?
Right.
You're in the Midwest, you think corn-fed, you know, feedlots,
Yep.
black cows,
Yes.
which is great. That's what I grew up on.
Yep.
I'll still eat it. But I think a lot of newer breeders, which really what this podcast is for, to some extent, you know, a large percent of what we're trying to do is help the new breeder,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
A lot of new breeders want to, whether they're homesteading or they have chickens or 2 acres or 10 or whatever, they kind of go down that path where, well, maybe now I'm ready to start raising beef, and then they find the Highland breed, and it does lead to, you know, wow, this is really good quality beef. And why do you guys think that is? That I mean, Terry, you mentioned the beef quality is lean. It's better maybe for somebody that needs that or just wants that. But I mean, they're docile. I mean, what are some other reasons that you guys are out here promoting the breed today, as far as, you know, their qualities go?
I truly believe they are the best beef out there. You know, when we have other beef, and you know, some of the other beef has great marketing plans, and they've convinced the public that their brand is the best.
Right.
I like being an alternative to that, and to truly educate them about there's marketing, and then there's truly quality, and about the heritage, and the fact that Highlands are true to their heritage. They have horns, male and female. That's one of the most common things we get. How can that be a female? It's got horns. That's not a bull?
Yeah.
How can that bull nurse a cow? We have one funny story of one time we had a bottle calf, and we brought the bottle calf with one of our bulls. And we had a really interesting conversation about this lady that was very confused about the funny looking udder that calf was not nursing from.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah.
But the most common, wouldn't you say, the most common question and discussion is about
The horns.
Horns on females.
Horns on females, because everyone will say he. Oh, he, you know, and it's a female, and then you kind of, but it's fine. It's kind of fun actually
Right.
to do that, you know, and have that kind of conversation with people.
And it takes us right into the natural heritage breed that has not been bioengineered to remove the horns,
Right.
and a lot of other things. That is why we originally got into it. We didn't get into it thinking we were going to have 40 plus cattle.
No.
We thought we were going to have a few and grow our own beef and maybe just sell a little bit to family and friends. And then 14 years later, now it's like, okay, we've got 43, we've got 8 more coming yet this year, and we need to move some down the road. And we've been selling beef here and taking orders for deliveries in August. But we never thought we'd go to this extreme with it. And we were a new breeder that started off just with that homesteading type thing, and to new breeders, I warn you, they're addictive. You can become a cow collector. My wife has told me several times, you're not a cow breeder, you're a collector.
I decided a couple months ago that having pets that can make you money is the superior way to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, if I can have cows that I can pet on and I can make some money off of them, great.
If I've ever heard a Kimber quote, that's the number one Kimber quote right there.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
She's very business minded. So it's interesting. You guys are out here educating people to the point where you're talking about the horns and the difference between the males and the females. So we're in the suburbs. Like, there's people that just don't know anything, and that's fair. I get it. So anyways, you guys we're kind of talking about how you started out just wanting your own beef as a new breeder, and now you've grown so much. And now at what point did you guys become part of the association, or were you from the very beginning?
Gosh, I feel like right from the beginning.
The very beginning,
we joined it. We saw the value as being members of the association, and I still see the value very much so. And we thought, this is a good idea, so we joined right away.
We have both, because we've been in sales and marketing, we have both been involved in a variety of, from Chamber of Commerce's to specialty organizations. I'm still in the financial services industry, so I've been a member of banking and mortgage lending associations, and been on the board of the Mortgage Lending Association here in Illinois, as well as on my alumni association board, for athletic board. So we know the value of an association, and being a new breeder when we got into it, neither Kay or I come from a background of farming. So I bought my first cow at 48. Knew nothing about it. Did not know the difference between a cow and a heifer and a steer. So we had a learning curve, and we leaned on ACA and some of the regionals to learn and talk to other breeders. And there's so many wonderful people in the ACA association and the regional associations that embraced us as we were learning to try to decide, can we do this? And we did it initially as an absentee owner, because we lived in the Chicago suburbs for 35 years. This was going on in our backyard, literally, and the farm was 212 miles from our house. So we started off being remote and needing help to watch the cattle when we weren't around. Now we are full-time at the farm, and that's when the herd really grew, was during COVID, when we went to the farm to work from there while we were trying to figure out, what is this COVID thing? Is it real? Is it really deadly? Is it just, what is it? How long it's going to be? And we're some of those people that, after being at the farm, working from there and around the cattle daily for over a year, we looked at each other about, can we really go back and live 200 miles from the cattle? And we just couldn't do it.
Said no.
So we're full-time at the farm now, and when you are around them full-time, that's when you can start collecting.
So you mentioned the regional associations, which I didn't know anything about, but it has come up in past podcasts how helpful it is to find somebody, a mentor. Usually the regional associations, those members are closer, obviously. Did you guys have somebody to ask questions to, or like a mentor that you guys found when you just went for it on your own and just
We asked a lot of different people. I know Pat White. We
White.
talked with Pat and toured her farm, and she
Skylar.
wealth of information. Skylar was helpful to us.
Eddie Donald.
Eddie McCall.
We started. There's so many breeders in the Michigan area,
Yeah.
and Michigan's a show state, so we went up to some of the shows. And where we're located, we also went down into Missouri and met some of the breeders down there and bought some cattle from breeders in that area to get started, just because it was geographically close to our farm. So the regionals are a great way to go, because yes, they are closer. And work with your association. Get involved, because you get out of an association what you put into it. If you just join, pay your dues, and look for the newsletter, that's helpful and you'll get some good information. But if you go to one of the members, especially Pat White, I mean, when we went and met with Pat and Larry, and they took us around and toured the farm, I have one regret. We should have recorded it.
We should have
because
recorded.
What a wealth of knowledge, and it just comes pouring out, and you can't absorb it all.
Yeah, my brain couldn't hold it all.
No,
Sure,
but
yeah.
it just helped us confirm that yes, we can do this. You can start from scratch, like we did, and regardless of what your background is, whether you've been in cattle your whole life or you're brand new to it, like we were. Talk to the other breeders. You're always going to learn something, and whatever you put into it, whether it's your regional or ACA or your local chamber of commerce or whatever association, what you put into it, you will get back in duplicate.
True. We have sold some, live animals to new breeders who aren't in ACA, and we always sponsor them.
Yes.
We sponsor them, and we talk to them about, this is really going to be necessary. You're going to appreciate being a member. So,
Right.
yeah.
And just to address that sponsorship, the sponsor pays half. Right, it's half the membership, I think. So you get a discount.
Yeah,
I
you get a
think,
discount for sponsoring someone, and they get a membership for the year.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So it's a good way to get somebody that's just even thinking about it or interested in it involved, and it helps them see those resources as well that are available from the association. Great. So would you guys tell us a little bit more about what you're doing here, what you've got here? We got a lot of things, and Kimber said we can't talk about the book because we want to do an entire podcast about the book.
That's fine.
But if you want to talk about it, Terry, she's like, I'm going to edit it out.
That's fine.
No,
yeah,
we want to.
I get it.
We want to invite ourselves to you guys' place. We're always inviting ourselves places.
We'd love to have you come
We'd
down.
love to have you come.
Kimber said also for me not to say this, but we want to talk to you guys about the book. She can edit it. She's the editor. We want to talk to you guys about the book, and more about what you guys are doing at your place at HideAway Farm.
Yeah.
But for now, can you tell us a little bit more about this stuff here that we've got?
Well, this stuff kind of came as a way to pay for doing this.
Yeah.
After we did it a couple times, and you look at, hauling the cattle 212 miles, and then we have some wonderful friends that come and help us do it, because when you're dealing with a lot of people and the cattle and handling the questions, it takes multiple hands to do it the way we did. So we like to take care of them. So we thought, okay, if we picked up a few things Highland related that we had for displays that people wanted to buy, we thought that would offset it.
Yeah, exactly. And now I feel like the Scott's Games has a lot of things for children, but the first couple of times we came, it was pretty adult oriented, and so that's why we were kind of doing the hand stamps, and we did the little animals, things like that, so that the kids had something, and besides interacting with the cows. And then what we found with the stuffed animals were as many adult women were buying them as kids. So we've had different sizes, different styles of the animals, and now we've got people who come back because they collect them. It's almost like a set that they're like collecting. So I don't hate that. That's awesome. So, and you and I had talked, Kimber, about people kind of like to have something that reminds them of their experience. So yeah, that we were set up in. We usually do a show in New Berlin, Illinois, which is just around the Springfield area. And do you want to talk about the gal who started crying?
Oh boy. Yeah.
Because I'll start crying if I talk about it.
So there's a young lady, what do you think, mid-20s, late 20s?
Probably, yeah.
Has always loved Highland cattle, had never had the chance to go to Scotland or any place to see them. And her mother and grandmother brought her to New Berlin to the Illinois St. Andrews Society Highland Games, which we've been doing that as well. Not as long as the Chicago Scots, but when they started redoing their Highland Games, they asked us when they saw us here if we would come to it. It's like, of course, we'll come. We'd love to do it. But this lady was brought there by her mother and her grandmother, knowing we would be there. And when she came around the corner, she was just blown away by it. And she started getting very emotional, and Kay pointed it out to me. So I went and got her and got some range cubes and walked her around and took her in. And she was just trembling and just crying. I mean, tears of joy to get to feed. At that time we had Capone with us.
Yeah.
And he's just, he's a big teddy bear. So you walk up to him with a range cube and you start scratching him under the chin, and he's like a big dog. And she was just so taken aback. And it's those things that keep you wanting to come back and do this.
Yeah.
And
of course we had to send that home with her.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have to send a little fluffy home with her. Yeah. And again, going back to that stuff, it just adds to the experience for people.
Yeah.
And it helps defray the cost, because diesel fuel, trailers, all that is expensive. And while, yes, the beef is part of it, and that is profitable. However, as a small breeder, we don't sell that much beef. So to offset the cost, selling a few things like that certainly helps. And we only sell things that are stuffed Highlands, Scottish heritage, like the oat cakes we get from a lady down in Virginia. That's a true Scottish oat cake to a historic family recipe. And then the spices, again, meat related. It's just things associated with the Scottish heritage and great beef.
That's really cool. Terry, can you quickly touch on the book?
Absolutely.
Just give us a snippet.
Just a little preview.
Just a snippet.
It's a preview.
It's a preview, Terry. Keep that in mind.
Just since it's sitting up here, we gotta address it.
Well, the book is something that we wanted a copy because it was so referenced so many times, and I was looking for knowledge, and Kay tried to buy me one for my birthday and told me about 3 years after she had been looking through Abe Books, if you're familiar with Abe Books online. So it's an online source for out of print and rare books. And we waited, because she waited for 3 years and told me about it, and then I was waiting with her. We waited 4 years and spent $350 for a used paperback.
Wow.
And when I got it, I was blown away by the quality of the information in it, and thought, it's crazy to wait that long and spend that kind of money for it. This should be able to be reprinted somehow. So I started tracking down the author, and it was self-published, a short run. That's why they were so rare. And got to know Una via email, and after talking with her for about a year and trying to convince her to republish, to do it, she wanted a commitment. So we made a commitment to get her to do it by buying the North American publishing rights. So we did that, and it was basically, a 3.5 year project, babe?
Yeah, because the all of the computer systems had changed. So it was like reinventing the wheel. You couldn't just go back to a Word document or whatever. It was all brand new, doing everything. Yeah, so it was kind of
it was very labor intensive, yes. Especially for her and the Scottish publisher, because they did all the heavy lifting, and then we just paid for having the rights, and they sent us a file, and we took it to a print house and did the research on what print house we were going to use, and picked a print house down in the Peoria area and published it in hardback, and that's how we got here.
Wow. The thing about that too, that's another one of those examples where it was time consuming, and it was a little bit back and forth about whether she would even do it again. First of all, she could not believe that anybody liked it, wanted it, read it. She was shocked by that. When Terry explained to her that it kind of became the Bible, she really couldn't hardly believe it. And it was a time-consuming process, but so worth it, because Terry has this awesome pen pal now in Una. Like, she is emailing with him back and forth all the time. She's this lovely person.
Yep.
The tea towels that we have hung up over there, she sent to him. I swear, every so often she goes through her house and finds something Highland related and sends it to him.
That's cool.
Get a Christmas gift from
lovely.
Scotland every year
Lovely.
with something Highland related
Yes.
that Una has sent. And the tea towels we've put up, they're not for sale. That's just our display, but they all have a little bit about the Scottish heritage and about the Highland cow and its place in the Scottish heritage. And that's just something we try to pull together to be part of this event, because it's just such a fun event. I mean, from the British cars to the herding dogs
The
and the
dancers.
Scottish dancers, along with the traditional heavy games and everything. It's just a really fun event that I would encourage breeders, if there's a Scottish heritage group in your area, if somebody is not taking cattle to it, do it.
Do it.
It's a great opportunity, and you'll get so much out of it.
It's a great way to promote the breed. It seems like, well, Josh Krenz, we interviewed Josh Krenz. He said it best, the Highlands are in vogue, which I don't even know what that means, but it sounds cool, so I'm going to keep saying it. But, things like this, they help people understand they're more than just that picture hanging in Target.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they can learn, that they do produce good quality beef. They are, a docile animal, and there's just so much more to them.
Yeah.
But we wanted to thank you guys for being here, for talking to us.
Thank you.
I don't know how we're doing on time. How are we doing?
Wrap it up.
Okay. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. I have one question that I like to ask everybody. But you guys
Boxers or briefs?
I feel like you guys have been on the spot the whole interview, and you've done a great job. So
You're sweet.
But no, one question I like to ask everybody, what advice, what little nugget of knowledge, or it could be three things, what would you offer to a new breeder that's just getting started? Maybe they have a couple cows, maybe they don't. What's something that, maybe a mistake you guys have made that you've learned from? What's something that you would...
Think about all the mistakes.
Yeah.
Just go back.
Right.
How much longer do you
Yeah,
have?
how many
we're still
hours of
making
film
it.
do you have for mistakes?
Yeah, we're still,
I want to do
still
a
making
whole
it.
episode that's just a compilation of
Just mistakes. No solutions, just
Yeah.
mistakes.
Just-
No, but what it might maybe somebody that you learned from told you something that now you apply on your farm. Whatever it might be that kind of sticks out to you. What do you?
I would say don't be intimidated by, if you have an interest in doing this and you want to do it, and you're a new breeder and you've never, or thinking about being a new breeder and you've never been associated with cattle, don't hesitate about doing it if you have the ability to do it. You got to have two to start with. You got to have the ability to handle them properly and feed them properly. So make sure you talk to your county ag department about how many animals per acre and everything you need, because that's a very local thing, and be realistic about this. And no, they're not always going to stay little.
Yeah.
They're going to get to be big animals. They're going to need to be worked with. They're going to do stupid animal tricks, and they're going to need a vet now and then. So you have to think about the big picture, but it's very doable. If I can buy my first cow at 48, and Kay was 47 because she's a little younger than me.
Not much.
But if we could do it, they can too. And
Yeah.
embrace other breeders. Talk to them. Get involved. And yeah, you'll make mistakes. That's okay. The only way not to make a mistake is not do anything.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah, I would just, and tag on to that when you mentioned the vet. We're really fortunate. We have a great vet that is close to us, and I know not everybody has that. So I think it's a good idea when you're just getting started, think about those times that you may need to call a vet, and who are you going to call? How far away are they? And when they get there, how are you going to contain the animal? Do you have a way to kind of work with the animal in a contained situation? Because you don't want to be in that situation where there's an injury or something like that, and now we don't know what we're doing. You want to kind of, if you can kind of think that through in the beginning, I think it helps a lot. And it'll, if you never need it, great. You know what I mean? It's like if you can do everything on your own, then fantastic. I know some people do, but it's just nice to have that kind of thought in your mind, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. I would say that'd be one thing that I would, recommend.
And don't make a mistake of not being ready to have a way to confine them for when that time comes.
For when that time
you
comes.
need the vet.
Yeah.
And you don't have to start off with, spending a bunch of money with some, really nice squeeze and everything else.
Right.
You can create something. I've seen a couple of breeders that they had a couple of big heavy posts and a couple of gates put together to create a squeeze shoot environment. You can get creative and overcome obstacles if you don't have the financial resources of dropping 10 grand on a shoot and pen right out of the block.
But it's easier if you think about it ahead of time.
Yes.
And not be at that last minute when the animal's already stressed and now you're stressed and now it's starting to rain, and all that kind of thing. So yeah.
That's excellent advice. Because at the end of the day, we are their caretakers.
That's
exactly.
right.
That's what we always say is they didn't just show up.
Right.
We brought them there, so it's our responsibility to make sure that they are happy and healthy. I feel that all the way through my body. That's our responsibility.
I couldn't agree more. And just to kind of tack on to what you guys said, this is a breed that you do see a lot of new breeders begin with.
Yeah.
And it's important to get that information out there.
Yes.
We need to be prepared so that we can be the best caretakers we can for these animals that we've been given for this time,
Yeah.
So I couldn't agree with you guys anymore. And I know Kimber feels the same way. We're 100% on board with you guys. So thanks again so much.
Thank you.
This is awesome. Hopefully the recording worked and we don't have to do it again, because take one I think was pretty good. So no, you guys did awesome.
Is the lens cover off?
I hope so.
Don't say that. I glanced as if there was a lens.
Yeah. No, that was great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Seth,
you.
Kimber, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
guys.
guys.
Thank you.